Hello, welcome to 10 with Jesus. Today I want to talk about the crucifixion again. Talked about it a couple of days ago from Matthew. Today I want to take a look at John's perspective on the crucifixion. There are some aspects about this that are really quite interesting, quite fascinating when you look into it. There's so many details that we can glean out of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Things that, we kind of gloss over in the story, but are actually important to it. When I'm reading through John chapter 19, it is very interesting for me to read, for instance, that Jesus was crucified in the middle of three different criminals being crucified. He was the third, or the middle one, and then he had two, one on each side, that had actually committed crimes. Even one of them would eventually say, this man's done nothing to deserve death. We've done we're getting what we deserve. Jesus didn't do anything. He's criminalized. Jesus is. He's criminalized there. And he's put in the middle. Why is he put in the middle? Which meant that he was considered to be the worst criminal of those three. Well, first of all, we know that the Jews were crucifying him because in their minds, he was, or at least the way they were concocting the story, he was committing blasphemy, claiming to be the Son of God, in essence, claiming to be God himself. So he's committing, in their world, he's committing blasphemy, which according to the Old Testament laws in the scriptures that had been written hundreds, thousands of years before, he's worthy of death. And then you read further into the story, and it says there, Pilate wrote a sign and had it placed on the cross. It read, Jesus the Nazarene, the King of the Jews. So he's already committed, in the Jewish law, he's committed blasphemy. He's in putting that sign there, it's almost like the Roman world is now accusing him or has convicted him of treason. Blasphemy and treason. Really, when they put that sign there, it was their way of saying, the Jews have admitted they had no king but Caesar. They said that at the farce of a trial. And then the Romans are saying anybody who claims to be a king that sets themselves up against the emperor, the Caesar, they are worthy of death because they've committed treason. So he's committed grave crimes according to the customs of that day, even though we know in retrospect he'd done none of those things. This kind of detail is really, really quite striking to me. There's other details about it as well. It's the fulfillment of so many of these Old Testament scriptures that we read back in the Old Testament, such as when he died, they stabbed him in the side with a spear, fulfilling the prophecies. Not a bone in his body was broken. And other scriptures that read, they will stare at the one that they pierced, because they didn't break Jesus's bones like they did the other criminals to make them die faster. When they got to Jesus, he was already dead. He had been through such a farce of a trial. He had been through so much torture. He hadn't eaten for a long time. He had suffered under the weight of sin in Gethsemane. He was dying faster because of the circumstances. So there's the fulfillment of the scriptures. There's the compassion that he shows his mother when he looks down and says to John, the beloved, the author of this actually, says to him, behold, here is your mother, and to his mother, behold, here is your son. And from that day forward, John cares for Mary, Jesus' mother, as though it's his own mother, which is a big deal because in those days, if you don't have family with you, if your sons and your children aren't there to provide for you, you're in trouble, especially one who is a widow. Now, the Jews are supposed to care for these people, but sometimes that didn't happen. And there's many a widow that wound up destitute because those instructions were not fulfilled, which kind of leads me to another question. Jesus had other brothers. Where were they in this scenario? Maybe at this time they weren't really stepping up. We don't really know that detail. And finally, there's this inspiring thing to me. And that inspiring thing to me comes at the very end. Jesus is already dead. And it strikes me that it says that Joseph of Arimathea, who was a disciple of Jesus, but secretly, because he was intimidated by the Jews, petitioned Pilate to take the body of Jesus. Pilate gave permission, so Joseph came and took the body. Then it says, Nicodemus, who had first come to Jesus at night, came now in broad daylight, carrying a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 75 pounds. They, Nicodemus and Joseph, they took Jesus' body and, following the Jewish burial custom, wrapped it in linen with the spices. There was a garden near the place he was crucified, and in the garden a new tomb, in which no one had yet been placed. So because it was Sabbath preparation for the Jews and the tomb was convenient, they placed Jesus in it. Okay, here's why that's so inspiring to me. Because in our day and age, it is so easy. It is so easy for us to just live a life where people around us may never know that we're followers of Jesus. It's easy to do that, maybe in part because it's so easy to be a follower of Jesus, supposedly right now. Okay, we're not really threatened by any laws. We're not threatened to be associated with a criminal who had committed treason or had committed blasphemy, who is condemned by both the state and the church as it would have existed in the Jewish culture. We're not associated with somebody who'd done anything like this. And so it's easy for us to live as though it's not that big of a deal. To Nicodemus and to Joseph, it's a big deal. It would cost them something. I'm wondering, is it easier to wear your faith on a sleeve as a follower of Jesus when it costs you something than it is to do so when it costs you very little? I find the story inspiring today because it's, again, I ask this question of myself: am I living my faith on my sleeve? Or am I waiting to the last minute to come forward and to live openly as a follower of Jesus? What does it cost me now to do that? Well, in the world, there are people that it'll cost your reputation. There are people that'll say that we're ignorant, we're just following myths, we're following the sky god, as some people have said. All of these different things. It might be humiliating, but I'm inspired that finally, even if it took them a long time, finally, Nicodemus and Joseph lived in the open. It's so much more freeing, liberating, so much less weight on our shoulders to live in the open, isn't it? Believe it or not, I think that any of us, if we were to just openly live our faith, where, we didn't care whether people saw it or not, we didn't really care about the consequences, if we were to do that, I think our hearts would be lighter. I think it would be like the weight of the world is off our shoulders, because I'm not living behind the shadows as a follower. I'm in the open. And what a difference it would make in our communities and in the world around us. How much easier would it be to extend the ministry of Christ to people with hope and wholeness if we're living in the open and we just do that, so that when there's an opportunity to talk about Jesus, and I don't believe in forcing those opportunities, but when those opportunities arrive, we're shameless about it. We openly share. I'm a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist. I believe Jesus is coming again. I'm here to help you because Jesus helped me and loves me. Therefore, I'm going to love and help you. If we did that every day, if it wasn't about a church program, if it wasn't about finally being forced to admit it, what if we did that every day? I think it would help us to live more freer. And I believe also it would help us to be ready for when it actually will cost us something to admit we're followers of Jesus. So live in the open. Live out in the open with your faith every single day. Take advantage of those opportunities that God places in front of you to freely speak about Jesus and to be the hands and feet of Jesus to people around you. That's my challenge today. Thank you for joining me for 10-ish minutes with Jesus. God bless.